Hello, everyone. I'm James. Tonight's story is going to shake you. A luxurious Caribbean cruise, a power couple trying to save their broken marriage, and a secret affair that spiraled into a cold-blooded murder. A woman disappeared into the sea, and when her body was found, it was already torn to pieces by the ship's own engine. But trust me, it wasn't an accident. Her husband was watching, planning, and when the moment came, he struck without mercy. So buckle up. Because what started as a romantic getaway quickly turned into one of the most chilling crimes ever committed on open water. Please hit that subscribe button if you love gripping true crime stories, and let's dive in. Malik Devante never liked cruises. To him, they were floating cages filled with overpriced drinks, forced relaxation, and strangers pretending to be glamorous. He much preferred the control of his restaurant kitchens, but Nima, his wife of 15 years, had insisted. "It'll be romantic," she said. "We need to spice things up." And that's how they ended up on the Caribbean Pearl. 5 decks, 3 pools, a casino, 4 restaurants, and an ocean of forced smiles. 7 days from Miami to the islands and back. 7 days Malik was supposed to spend reconnecting with the woman he once called his soulmate. But now, standing alone at the bar with a whiskey in hand, Malik was watching his wife giggle just a little too much at the ship's captain. And that changed everything. "Oh, he's just charming," Nima said, brushing her hair behind her ear. She was glowing skin, flawless eyes sparkling, wrapped in a sea-green dress that hugged her just right. And Captain Tavian Brooks, tall, polished, that confident smile that seemed carved from stone, was eating it up. Malik clenched his jaw as he read the captain's name tag. He hadn't felt this kind of jealousy in years. "Captain Brooks invited us to the bridge tomorrow," Nima said, grinning. "Can you believe it?" "Great," Malik muttered. That night at dinner, everything felt off. Nima was radiant, too radiant, laughing loudly, leaning forward just enough, holding her champagne a little too delicately. And when Captain Brooks stopped by their table, her eyes lit up like fireworks. "Mrs. Devante, I hope dinner meets your expectations," he said with a bow. "Oh, Captain, everything is just wonderful," Nima beamed. Malik nearly choked on his wine. After dinner, they walked the deck together, the sea shimmering in the moonlight. Other couples held hands. They didn't. A silence stretched between them, comfortable for Nima, suffocating for Malik. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How beautiful the sea is at night," she replied. He studied her profile, trying to see the woman he once knew, but she felt a million miles away, even as she stood right beside him. Back in the cabin, they made love, but it was mechanical, empty, and as Nima drifted off to sleep, Malik lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the ship's engines hum beneath them. Something wasn't right. He knew it. And before the cruise was over, he'd be proven horrifyingly right. The next day started off deceptively normal. They had breakfast at the buffet. Nima wore a floral sundress, sunglasses perched on her head, and smiled like she had no secrets. She talked about excursions, spa treatments, and which jewelry to wear for dinner that night. Malik, on the other hand, barely heard her. His mind was still replaying last night, like a broken tape. He had seen it with his own eyes. That wasn't flirting. That wasn't harmless fun. That was betrayal. And the worst part, she wasn't even hiding it. After breakfast, they joined the group for the bridge tour. The nerve, the absolute nerve of Captain Brooks to shake his hand like nothing happened. His palm was firm, dry, practiced. "Mr. Devante," he said with that polished voice, "glad you could make it." Malik wanted to crush his fingers. Instead, he smiled, wouldn't miss it. The bridge was impressive. State-of-the-art controls, massive windows, overlooking the endless blue. But all Malik could see was the way Nima lingered by the captain's side, asking questions, laughing softly at his jokes. The entire time, Tavian Brooks didn't even look at her like a passenger. He looked at her like a man who already knew the shape of her body. "Oh my God!" Malik gripped the railing, breathing hard. He needed to cool off. After the tour, they had lunch by the pool. Nima ordered a frozen daiquiri and dipped her feet into the water. She looked relaxed, glowing. Malik barely touched his food. It was as if he'd left his body hours ago. And yet, some part of him watched from above, detached and focused, calculating. That evening, the ship sailed into a patch of rain. The sky turned steel gray. Thunder growled in the distance. Malik used it as an excuse to skip dinner with the group. "I'm gonna try the casino," he said. Nima kissed him lightly on the cheek. "Don't stay too long. I'm exhausted. I think I'll turn in early." Her words were sweet, casual, practiced. Malik nodded. "Get some rest." He didn't go straight to the casino. Something in his gut, some cursed sixth sense, told him to walk the upper deck first. And there it was, just past the lifeboats, shadows moving, a giggle that didn't belong in a storm. Malik ducked behind a column. He didn't need to get closer. He knew that laugh. He knew that silhouette. Two people tangled in the dark, her hands on his chest, his fingers sliding down her spine. And then the kiss. Not a polite tipsy peck. A kiss that said everything. A kiss that ended a marriage in a single breath. Malik stood frozen. A scream died in his throat. His heart pounded like a war drum. Then the captain whispered something. Malik saw him slip a key into Nima's palm. "Cabin 121, he heard. I'll be free in an hour." Nima giggled as if this was some high school affair. She tucked the key into her dress and kissed Tavan again before slipping away. Malik didn't move. He stood there like a shadow, numb, hollow. 15 years. 15 years of building a life, building trust, sacrificing time, sweat his damn soul. For what? For this? He wandered the deck like a ghost. The sound of the waves mocked him. He remembered the night he proposed, on a Florida beach. Her eyes had sparkled then. She had cried, said yes, said she'd never hurt him. But promises were just pretty lies wrapped in gold. He finally returned to the cabin. Nima was lying in bed with a book like she'd been there the whole time. She looked up, smiled. How was the casino win anything? Malik shook his head. Lost everything. She nodded. Too bad. I was going to come find you, but I took a walk instead. You know, fresh air and all that. The lies rolled off her tongue like poetry. He went into the bathroom, turned on the water, and clenched his fists so tight, his nails pierced his skin. He wanted to scream, punch the mirror, but he didn't. He couldn't. Because now the idea had formed. It was clear. It was perfect. And it had a name. Murder! Malik didn't sleep that night. He sat in the chair by the window watching the dark sea roll endlessly under the moonlight. His thoughts were sharp. Clearer than they'd ever been. The rage was still there. Oh, it was there, but now it had cooled into something more dangerous. Purpose. He had options. He could confront her. Scream, pack a bag, demand a divorce, let the lawyers split everything down the middle. Watch the tabloids call him weak, betrayed, pathetic. Or he could make sure no one ever knew. No trial, no divorce papers, no scandal. Just silence. Nima stirred around 6 a.m., stretching lazily under the white hotel sheets. Morning, she murmured like she hadn't just betrayed her husband 12 hours ago. Malik smiled. Morning. They had breakfast in the main restaurant. Malik ordered an omelet. Nima chatted about their upcoming excursion in St. Lucia, the volcano, the sulfur springs, the waterfalls. She looked so damn alive, so energized, the way women look when they're in love. Only it wasn't with him. Captain Tavan Brooks showed up halfway through breakfast, making his rounds like a politician. He greeted passengers, flashed that smile, asked if everyone was comfortable. When he reached their table, Malik's stomach turned. Mr. and Mrs. Devante, the captain nodded. Hope you both slept well. Malik raised an eyebrow. My wife mentioned the bed wasn't quite as comfortable as ours at home. Nima flushed, caught off guard. Captain Brooks didn't blink. Perhaps next time you'll consider one of the luxury suites. Oh, Malik said, locking eyes with him. I doubt there'll be a next time. Tavin smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. After breakfast, they disembarked for the excursion. St. Lucia was stunning, warm, sun, lush greenery, endless ocean views. Malik played his part perfectly. He helped Nima climb the rocky paths. He took photos. He laughed when she slipped slightly near the edge of the volcano. To the world, they looked like the perfect couple. Inside, Malik was counting the hours. They returned to the ship around 5 p.m. Nima claimed she was tired and wanted to rest. Malik said he'd grab a drink at the bar. But instead of heading to the bar, he followed her. Like clockwork, she didn't go to their cabin. She walked straight to the opposite end of the ship, the crew's wing, and stopped at door 121. She looked around once slipped inside. Malik's heart was beating like a hammer against his ribs. It was real. It was happening. Even now, after everything, she still chose him. He turned away, hands trembling. He couldn't stay there. He needed to keep control. He went to the bar and drank. Not to forget, no. He drank to steady himself. Each glass brought him closer to calm, closer to cold, closer to ready. When he returned to their cabin around 7 p.m., Nima was already there, damp hair, soft perfume slipping into her evening dress. You were gone a while, she said, zipping up the back of her gown. I met a couple from Atlanta, Malik replied. Talked business. His hands helped her zip the dress slowly, carefully. She smiled, unaware. Dinner was elegant. They sat at a private table. Malik ordered wine. They laughed like newlyweds. And when Nima looked around hoping to see the captain, he didn't come. Oh, that must have stung. Let's take a walk after dinner, Malik suggested. The sky's clear, just like old times. Nima nodded, surprised but pleased. That sounds wonderful. Wonderful. Yes. It would be. The stars were out that night, scattered like diamonds across the ink-black sky. The moon hovered above the sea, casting a silver trail across the water that shimmered with every wave. It was beautiful. And it was perfect. Malik walked beside Nima, their arms brushing occasionally, just like they used to in the early years, when every touch felt like a promise. But now every step they took toward the stern of the ship felt like a countdown. He led her away from the bar, away from the couples and music and laughter, to the rear deck, the quiet part, the part where shadows swallowed sound. He stopped by the railing. Do you remember our first date? He asked, his voice gentle. Nima smiled. Of course I do. Your restaurant, the tiny one on 3rd Street. You made me that terrible seafood risotto. Malik laughed. You ate every bite. I liked you. She glanced out at the water. I loved you. Malik turned to her. I gave you everything. 7 restaurants, a house you designed down to the tile, vacations, security. I never asked for all of that, Nima said softly. I asked for you. He blinked. Nima sighed. You were so driven back then, so full of passion. But somewhere along the way, that passion turned into numbers and contracts and meetings. You stopped seeing me, Malik. I was right there, and you stopped seeing me. Malik's hands curled into fists. And so you ran to him, he whispered. Nima didn't flinch. Taven saw me. He listened. He made me feel real again. You've known him 3 days, Malik spat. And in those 3 days I felt more alive than I have in the last 10 years. That was it. That was the moment. The final knife in the back. Malik stepped closer, his face inches from hers. You ungrateful bitch, he hissed. Nima took a step back. Malik. He grabbed her wrist. She gasped, Let go of me. No, his voice was ice. You don't get to walk away, not after everything I gave you. People are watching, she whispered, panicked. No one is here, Malik said. And she knew he was right. The deck was silent, the perfect crime scene. She tried to pull away, but Malik's grip tightened. His other hand reached her throat. Malik, she choked. I loved you, he snarled. I built you. Nima fought back, nails digging into his arms, her heel slamming against his shin. But Malik didn't care. His hands were around her neck, rage fueling every ounce of pressure. Her eyes widened in horror, mouth open in a silent plea. Then her body went limp. And for a second, Malik hesitated. But only for a second. He bent low, wrapped his arms around her waist, and with one powerful motion, hurled her over the railing. She didn't scream. She couldn't. Her body vanished into the dark water with a soft splash. Gone. Malik leaned over the railing, heart-pounding eyes scanning the waves. There was nothing. Just the sea. Just silence. He waited for panic, for regret. But none came. Only relief. And it was terrifying. Malik stood there for a long time, gripping the cold railing, the sea breeze whispering through his shirt like a ghost passing through him. It was done. There was no going back now. The deck remained empty, no footsteps, no witnesses, no cameras. It was as if the ocean had swallowed the evidence and the night had sworn to keep his secret. He walked back to the cabin like nothing had happened. On the outside, calm. Inside, hollow, echoing. Nima's side of the bed was empty, of course. He stared at the indentation in her pillow, the slight curve, where her head had rested hours ago. He sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling faintly. There was blood under his fingernails, scratches on his forearm. Her last fight, desperate, fierce, etched into his skin. He went to the bathroom, turned on the water, as hot as it would go, and scrubbed. Over and over, until his skin was raw. Then he took off his shirt, the one with her blood on it, and folded it neatly into a plastic bag. He'd throw it overboard tomorrow. Malik laid down, closed his eyes, slowed his breath. Tomorrow he would report her missing. Say they argued. Say she needed air. Say he waited, worried, fell asleep. All very sad. All very believable. He even practiced the words in his head. But life had other plans. At 4 a.m., Malik was yanked from sleep by a terrible metallic screech. The ship jolted. The entire cabin shook, rattling the glasses in the minibar and knocking his phone off the nightstand. He bolted upright, heart hammering. What the hell? Emergency lights blinked on dim red strips along the floor. A second later, the ship's intercom came alive. Dear passengers, we are experiencing temporary mechanical difficulties. Please remain calm and stay in your cabins. Further information will follow. Malik got to his feet, staggering slightly. Something had gone wrong. He pulled open the curtains, and through the porthole, all he saw was black sea. The ship had stopped. No wake. No hum from the engines. Silence. He threw on clothes quickly and stepped into the hallway. Other passengers were peeking out of their rooms, sleepy, confused, mumbling. I think we hit something. Maybe it's a drill. Where's the captain? A crew member in uniform strode by. Excuse me, Malik said, putting on his best concerned husband voice. My wife left our cabin late last night. I think she's still out there. The crewman paused. Please report to the reception desk. Security is collecting missing person reports now. Malik nodded. Of course, thank you. But he didn't go to the reception desk. He went down. To the engine level. The lower deck smelled of salt oil and heat. The walls sweated condensation. Crew members ran in every direction, some with radios, others with tools. He followed the noise. And then he heard it. Jesus Christ! Is that hair? Oh my God, someone get the captain! Malik froze behind a corner. A group of engineers huddled around the port side propeller maintenance hatch. Flashlights shined into metal gears slick with red. Something had jammed the mechanism. Something human. A man in overalls with L. Jackson, stitched into his chest, knelt beside the mess expression, hard as stone. We've got human remains. One of the younger mechanics turned and vomited onto the floor. Another just backed away, pale and shaking. Malik's skin went cold. They had found her. And not in the way he expected. Her body, or what was left of it, had been shredded, caught in the propellers, torn apart. It should have horrified him. But instead, all he felt was this eerie, unnatural sense of relief. There would be no autopsy, no visible bruises, no sign of strangulation. The ocean had finished what he started. And now it was almost perfect. Until the captain arrived. Captain Taven Brooks entered the engine room looking like he'd walked into a nightmare. His pristine white uniform stood out like a ghost against the oil-slicked metal and dim emergency lights. But the moment he caught a glimpse of what the engineers had uncovered, everything changed. He stopped cold. His face went pale. And then his mouth dropped open in stunned silence. Engineer Lamont Jackson stood up. "Sir, we believe someone went overboard and got caught in the port propeller housing. There are remains, tissue, hair, bone fragments, possibly female." Taven swallowed hard, his hands clenched at his sides. "Can you confirm it's a person?" Lamont didn't answer right away. He just pointed his flashlight into the dark mess of machinery. The captain leaned in slowly, and what he saw made him recoil. "Oh my God!" Long strands of black hair, torn flesh, shredded fabric sea green like the dress Nima had worn the night before. Malik, watching from the shadows, could see the horror crawl across Tavan's face. And something else. Grief. Real soul-deep grief. Not the kind you fake for passengers, not the professional concern of a crewman losing a guest. This was personal. Captain Brooks stumbled back a step, turned away, and put a hand to his mouth, trying not to vomit. It hit Malik like a slap. He loved her. Oh my God, he actually loved her. The man Nima had known for 3 days was mourning her like she was his soulmate. And Malik, her husband of 15 years, had just stood there, watching her die. Suddenly, it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like loss. Like the final confirmation that somewhere along the way, he had lost everything. Jackson barked orders. "Shut down this section. I want this area sealed. Call security, get someone to cordon this off now." Crew members scrambled. The engine room transformed into a crime scene. And when a young mechanic reached into the mess and pulled something small and gold from the gears, everyone stopped. It was a bracelet. Thin, delicate, a single starfish charm. Malik recognized it instantly. Their 10th anniversary gift. Nima had worn it every day since. She never took it off. Captain Brooks saw it too. His jaw tightened, his eyes glassed over. There was no denying it anymore. The woman torn apart in the engine was Nima Devante. The rest of the crew stood back silent. The only sounds were the groan of cooling machinery and the occasional hiss of someone swallowing back nausea. And Malik. He quietly stepped away, heart pounding. Time was running out. Soon they'd notice she was missing. Soon they'd start asking questions. And he had to get ahead of it. He raced back to his cabin, slowed his breathing, fixed his expression in the mirror. Concerned, confused, sad. He rehearsed the lines. "She never came back last night. I thought she just needed air. I was going to report her missing this morning." By the time the knock came at his door, he was ready. 2 security officers stood there. Mr. Devante, one said, we need to speak with you. The captain's waiting. Malik nodded, calm and composed. Of course. They led him not to the bridge, but to a locked conference room. Inside was Captain Tavon Brooks. And another man. A stranger. Dressed in a dark gray suit, stern face, cold eyes, badge visible. Mr. Devante Tavon said, his voice strained. This is Detective Lorenzo Kingsley, Miami Police. He was flown in an hour ago. We need to ask you a few questions. Malik blinked. Wait, what detective? I don't understand. What's going on? Detective Kingsley stepped forward and offered his hand. My condolences, Mr. Devante. We believe your wife was the victim of a tragic accident. Her remains were found in the ship's propeller early this morning. Malik staggered back a step, playing his part. No, that can't be. Nima, are you sure? We found a bracelet with a starfish charm, the detective said gently. We believe it belonged to her. Malik collapsed into the nearest chair, hands shaking. Tears welling in his eyes, not quite from acting, but from everything. Tell us about last night, Kingsley said. When did you last see your wife? Malik took a breath and began the lie. Malik clasped his hands together and stared at the table, performing the image of a grieving husband with precision. After dinner, he began softly, we had a small argument. Nothing serious. Just plans for the next day. I wanted to relax on the ship, but Nima wanted to go on every excursion. And then, Detective Kingsley prompted. She said she needed air to clear her head, so she left the cabin. I waited for her, but I must have fallen asleep. When I woke up, she still hadn't returned. Kingsley nodded, taking notes with the calmness of someone who's heard it all before. You didn't go looking for her. I thought she just needed time. Nima could be dramatic. I didn't want to push her. I was going to report her missing this morning, but then Malik trailed off, his voice breaking. Then everything happened. The detective paused, pen hovering over paper. There's just one problem, Mr. Devante, he said, voice low. Malik looked up, eyebrows knit in concern. There's a witness who saw you with your wife last night. Silence. Malik's chest tightened. I'm sorry. What? The bartender from the upper deck lounge. He was closing up around midnight. He saw you and Nima at the stern. He says you were arguing. Malik swallowed. That's not possible. He must have mistaken us for someone else. The detective didn't blink. He said you grabbed her arm, that she looked distressed, and that you led her away from the railing. Malik's mouth opened, but no sound came. He hadn't seen the bartender. Damn it. He thought the deck had been empty. Kingsley leaned in. That's not all. During the initial examination of the remains, they found bruises around her neck, finger marks, defensive wounds, and under her fingernails, skin cells, human DNA. Malik's pulse exploded in his ears. I don't know what you're implying, he said weakly. Kingsley's eyes locked onto his. May I see your hands, Mr. Devante? What? Your hands, the detective repeated. Malik hesitated just a second too long, then slowly extended his arms across the table. And there they were. Faint but visible. Scratches, long red healing. Kingsley didn't speak, he just stared. And then he nodded to the security officer standing near the door. Malik Devante, he said firmly, you are under arrest on suspicion of the murder of your wife, Nima Devante. You have the right to remain silent. Malik didn't hear the rest. The words blurred. His vision swam. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. As the officer pulled him to his feet, Malik's eyes found Captain Tavon Brooks. Tavon wasn't gloating. There was no triumph in his face. Only sadness. Real soul-wrenching sadness. Malik couldn't help himself. She loved me for 15 years, he said, voice trembling. "And she only knew you for 3 days, and she still chose you."
How is that possible, Captain?
Taven didn't answer. He just watched as the man who once had it all, money, power, a beautiful wife, was led away broken and defeated. And then the door shut. And with it, the last chapter of a love story gone fatally wrong.